Hi everyone, hope you're having a great day. Let's start with some simple concepts before we dive into the world of planets and clarify some things, some easy things, which if missed, we are not going to understand anything of the later advanced series. So just like you, I'm a very skeptical person. When I go to buy something, I have to look at 3 things and then decide what is good for me. Similarly, I'm also very skeptical with what I read, where I read, and I needed to be sure, the patterns that I see in my life and the patterns I see in other people's life, that they are really patterns, and how these planets, even Earth, everything in this universe is affecting our daily lives. So I was not really ready to understand astrology as it is, but I wanted to connect it with different things that I knew. I wanted to find a basis. So let's start with that. We will look through different things and let's see if what you see in your birth chart actually exist in the sky. Are they connected? Can you connect them? Is astronomy and astrology, both of them, are they connected? That could give really some physical evidence to whatever we know. So let's go. So this here is the North Indian representation of an astrological birth chart. This is my birth chart, and it is erected for the time when I was born. So if you were going to get yourself such chart, then the chart would be erected for the time that you were born. For this, you will have to provide some information like time of birth, date of birth, and place of birth. The more accurate this information is, the better life patterns can be seen from such chart. And here you see that it is sort of one big rectangle with 12 areas, and these areas have some numbers in them. These numbers represent the signs. So there are these signs from, these signs from your sun sign, where there is Aries, Taurus, and so on and so on, this particular order. And this is the starting of this birth chart. So we say that there are 12 houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And every house has a certain sign, and those signs are represented by the numbers here. The house represents the area of your life, and the signs represent the energy that you have in that area of life. And then you see that there are different red mark. These are the planets that are placed in certain houses for me and certain signs for me. So for example, here you see SU written, which means the sun. In astrology, we consider sun as a planet. We'll talk about it in some of the later videos. Too advanced topic right now, just try to follow me. And this sun is present in the third house. This is the primary, the first house, also called the ascendant. 1, 2, 3. So sun is present in the third house, and sun is present in the fourth sign. So the fourth sign in astrology is Cancer in English, and That's how you understand this chart. So these are abbreviations of different planets. SU is for Sun, ME for Mercury, VE for Venus, SA for Saturn, MA for Mars, MO for Moon. Yeah, in astrology, we consider Moon also as a planet. Another topic. K, E, and R, A, these are the shadow planets, also advanced topic. Just make a note of these in your minds. RA stands for Rahu, KE stands for Ketu. They're always opposite each other. JU stands for Jupiter. So this is my birth chart, and here these planets were in these different signs when I was born, and this sign or 2, which is Taurus, was rising at the time of my birth. Okay, that's a lot of knowledge right now, but I will explain it to you in the next, whenever we get to talk again and again and more clarity is needed. But let's first solve the problem that we have at hand. This is a very basic model of the solar system, what is present in the physical space, where sun is still the star, and this is Earth here, and moon is revolving around the Earth. So let's understand this simply so that we are on the same page. This is our solar system. There is much more in the solar system, but to connect to astrology, we are just looking at these planets and sun. The sun is in the middle and it's quite stationary. It's not really stationary when it comes to the universe, but in comparison to the different planets who are revolving around the sun can be considered stationary. So all these planets are revolving around the sun. This small body here, the nearest planet to the sun is Mercury. Then we have Venus, then we have Earth, then we have Mars, we have Jupiter, and here the ring planet, we have Saturn. Hey, when we look at this model here, we don't see any signs, do we? And we don't see any houses, and we don't see them in any kind of boxes too, and there are no 12 areas. So how do we connect this, right? Here are the planets placed according to the astrological birth chart. So as in my birth chart, sun is in Cancer, so I've placed it here. This is a circle, right? And it has 360 degrees. And if we divide 360 degrees into 30 degrees each, that makes 12 portions. Now it seems to make more sense. So these portions in the sky are 12 and they are of 30 degrees each. But why are they named Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer? So if you were to look at the sky in the night, of course, because in the day you don't see anything in the daylight, but in the moonlight you can see stars, group of stars, which are also called constellations, similarly called in astrology, and these are placed in different parts of the night sky. Many constellations together make the sign of Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and so on. So we are here on Earth, right? And we are observing from the Earth when you were born, where were these planets in the sky? From the Earth, Sun was on the backdrop of Cancer. So Cancer was in the back of Sun, when I was born at a certain degrees, because this is 0 to 30 degrees. Remember, one portion is 30 degrees. And so Mercury and Venus were in front of the big symbol of Leo, imaginary symbol of Leo, which is made from the group of constellations. And similarly, all these other planets were in front of different symbols. So that makes sense, doesn't it? Because, for example, if I was to just wake up one day and somebody would ask me, hey, you know, when you were born, where was the sun? And I had to point it out in the sky where exactly was the sun. I couldn't really do it if I didn't have some kind of coordinates. So by putting it in this sort of portions in front of certain group of constellations at a certain degree, I can actually tell that my sun was at a certain degrees of 18 degrees in Cancer when I was born. Right? So this is how an astrological birth chart can be represented in this way to match the real scenario. But why don't we put them together, you know, to gain even more clarity? Put the astronomical model on top of this and see what happens. So it was a little tricky to place these planets here, but I hope you get the gist. This model may be too small, but yeah. So I have now placed these planets as they would be, or they would look like, if we were to look from Earth, right? So I'm trying to place the sun in Cancer here. It seems to overlap with these, but please use your imagination a bit. So from Earth, when we look at sun, it's in front of Cancer, while when we look at Mercury and Venus, they are in front of Leo, the constellation, the group of constellation, the big symbol in the sky, which looks like a lion, and similarly the other planets. So what about the moon? You know, moon is a satellite which is revolving around the sun. So it is revolving around the sun, and it most probably is somewhere here, you know, somewhere here, so that from Earth it looks like it's in front of Libra. So that is how it was made. That is how astrologers used to, you know, look at the sky and find out everything about you by looking at the positions, noting the position of different planets of the solar system, the moon and the sun, and then they placed them in a box which was of 30 degrees each. And you know, for simplicity, because you cannot make this every time, and also it works really well, they made different representations. One of the representations I showed you, which was the North Indian representation of how your birth chart would look like. So that's how we can connect astrology and astronomy. Yes, your birth chart is real. It maps the location of those planets when you were born. And there seems to be some connection of that with your life, your destiny, call it what may. There are some things that I guess we will be able to explain with this series, and there will be some things that perhaps we will get faith for. That was for today. See you again.